All right. I mentioned on a previous video that I was going to do one of these a week. I've already done one yesterday, but I just felt I had some more to discuss tonight. Just the stuff that's happening every day, and so it's just there's always stuff to talk about. So anyway, the one thing I wanted to mention was this thing about Pelosi with the salon. This to me is just laughable and sad and maddening at the same time. This she comes back on today and she says that she was framed or whatever she says she was cornered, whatever, set up. That's what she said, and that she demanded an apology. To me, that's just laughable because here she is with these mandates that she wants the state to have with coverings and closing businesses and all this kind of stuff. And she's been going to this business for a while now, according to this girl. Her name is Kaios, I think, who's the owner of the place. And for a while, and she apparently doesn't wear a mask when she goes. And she gets on film one time apparently, and it gets out there. People are saying stuff, and all of a sudden, she's the victim because she's the one that's not wearing the mask. If I'm not mistaken, like I said, I think she's a little older than most people. She's been a rep for that state for a while now. How, I don't know. Well, it's in California, so never mind. But people need to start wising up to, getting wise to these people, these Democrats, who are do as I say, not as I do, above the law, above reproach kind of attitude. These are public servants. If you go back to history, which is not taught these days, if you go back to when we started this country and how there were actually people who didn't want to be representatives of the state, but they did. Some of them did it kind of begrudgingly, but they did because they wanted to make sure our country started off on the right foot as an independent country. But there was no pomp and fame, glam, anything like that. That came with it. It was a public service, and you traveled and all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, it's a career for people, and she's been in there way too long. She's been in there way too long, and she needs to be out. Tell her to take her mask and never mind. Anyway, she needs to be out because she's setting a poor example. She's been setting a poor example for everybody. But this is one of those things where it's just completely obvious, and she's trying to flip the tables on everybody and claim that she's the victim. She was the one that's victimized in this because she was set up. I'm sorry. You can't play dumb. You can't think that we're dumb on this. You are not owed an apology by anybody. You owe everybody else an apology because you, as a public servant, as a representative of your state, failed to comply like the rest of the people have to by not wearing a mask. If you're not going to do it, then take the restrictions off, let the businesses open up, and shut your mouth and do your work. But don't come there prancing in this salon shop or whatever the place is called and not wear a mask and then act like you're the victim when you get caught. That's not how it works. There are people that are smarter than that. And hopefully, the next time that her election comes up again, there'll be enough people in that state that will get wise and get smart, especially this woman here who owns the shop, this Kaios or whatever. I can't think of her first name, who is a single mother who's lost, I think she's in the last 6 months has lost 60% of her business, has lost a lot of her staff, but yet Pelosi's been going there for a while. But anyway, she's probably going to have to shut down. She's been in that town for 12 years, and she's probably not going to be able to reopen back in that town. So We can put that on Pelosi's resume as another victim. But she needs to be gone. She needs to be voted out. There are plenty of other people in California that need to be voted out. Somehow, God needs to turn that state around, because I don't even care if there's libertarians that are taking, whatever. But Pelosi and the likes of her need to be out, because they cannot be do as I say, not as I do politicians. They are not above reproach. They are not above the law. They should be following the rules just like everybody else. If you don't like them, change them back. Make businesses open back up. This is ridiculous. This is just flat out ridiculous. It's disgustingly there are no words. And like, she's the one that owes everybody else an apology, because she's caught. And honestly, she needs her money back from the salon. Either that, or there's just nothing you can do at this point as a beautician. But anyway, I shouldn't have said that. That's mean. But like I said, that needs to change. The other thing I wanted to mention, as far as I want to try to make this page a variety, this channel a variety of issues, a variety of topics, not just politics, because that will wear people out. It wears me out. But a confessional of mine, I don't read as much as I would like to, as far as free time reading. I read up on news stuff. I listen to videos and all that kind of stuff, how I get my news. But I don't read for pleasure a whole lot, for enjoyment. When my kids are in school and I'm sitting there in the car line waiting to pick them up, that's when I read. Occasionally I might get, say, oh, let me burn 30 minutes of my time at night before I do anything else and read for a little bit and see how far I can get. I like to change it up a little bit. I like to change what kinds of stuff I read. I like historical fiction. I've talked about my faith. I'm a Christian, so I like to read books by different Christian authors. So I like Christian fiction as well. I like Christian topics from different pastors or whatever that I want to read about. One of my favorite authors to read, and I like him because the way the books are set up in a way that they flow really well when you're reading them. But also he has, in some of his earlier books, a Bible study that kind of goes along with it for each chapter. So before I get to that one, I work in a youth ministry at our church, and our new youth pastor has given he started back in March, but we hadn't really been able to do a whole lot since then. So he hadn't really been doing too much except for trying to get some things set up and trying to figure out how to bring everybody back, I guess. But he's given all the leaders a book to read about revival, and it's called Why Revival Tarries by Leonard Ravenhill. It's backwards, I'm sure, or whatever. I'm not sure how it's going to show up in there, but it's got a forward by, or a comment by Ravi Zacharias, the late Ravi Zacharias. But it's a really, really good book. It's very convicting. He's obviously targeting actual pastors in this book, as opposed to just laymen in the church. But it does apply to laymen in church as well. Sunday school teachers, Bible study group leaders, whatever. So it's a really good book, and I think there's a lot of churches that could use it to kind of spark a little fire, get something going. Also, the one I was talking about before, Max Lucado, one of the first books that I read, I didn't like to read a whole lot when I was in school, because when I was in school, I was forced to read. And there were books that unless it was for a book report, there were books that I didn't choose myself. So if I had the chance to choose them, I wouldn't have chosen the ones I read. But it wasn't until after I got out of high school and I had a little bit more free time, that I got into there's a group of us that were in college, that were at church, but we didn't really have anywhere to go because the group that we were going to before was the youth group, and we were too old to be in that group. So we just kind of hang around and chat, whatever. And, after the Wednesday night dinner and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we decided, well, hey, we're here. There's like 8 or 9 of us. Let's do something productive. Let's have a Bible study. So we read a book called The Applause of Heaven, which was from Max Lucado, talks about the Beatitudes. And that was a really, really cool book. That got me into a lot of his other books. So it gave me a better understanding for the Beatitudes, what they meant, what Jesus meant when he was preaching that sermon. So the one I'm currently reading from him is called He Still Moves Stones. I was working at a store called Heaven and Earth at the time, Christian store. And I got a really good discount when I was there. So I would wait till some books were on sale and I would buy some of these books or whatever. And I think I bought a lot of these books for like $5 or $6. There was a $12.99 sticker on this book, the paperback book. But anyway, it's called He Still Moves Stones. Everyone Needs a Miracle is a subtitle. Again, it's another great book. And as you can see, I'm looking at the back here, there's, I don't know if you can see, there's pages set up in the back for Bible's sake. So you could do it as a group, you could do it in your own time, whatever. So I would highly recommend those books to read. There's a lot of other recommendation of books that I have read before that are really good. One of my favorite books, I mentioned that I liked historical fiction. One of my favorite books of historical fiction is a book. I can't remember the author's name. It's over there in that cabinet. But I don't want to walk away from the video here, but I think the book is called The Bell Messenger. Sorry, I keep looking down at the screen and not at the camera right there. It's called The Bell Messenger, and it's a really good book. It's a Civil War piece about a boy who was involved somehow with the Civil War. Again, just a really good read. And it was, I'm not going to do a spoiler or anything like that on it because I think it's if you're wanting something just for a good read, then that's something to look up. But again, it's just a cool take on that time period and a cool story about that. So anyway, but I wanted to put that out there. Again, politics, I talk about that sometimes. I don't want to talk about it all the time, so I talk about some other stuff. I would love for you guys anybody that's watching this to share the video, spread the word out, get more people viewing, supporting, and all that kind of stuff. And again, just kind of wanted to get I just like to use this channel just to get my opinions out there. So it's no glitz or glam with this feed, just me in my laptop. No dramatic backdrop or anything like that. No intro music, nothing like that. Just me talking, which I'm sure is riveting. Anyway, but I might come back on and do something else later on in the week. I'm not sure, but if not, I will be back on next week. And we'll see. Unless something interesting happens between now and then, I'll be back on next week. So y'all have a great night.